Hello everyone, this is Marie Holiday and welcome to my live stream lecture. And before I get into this very important lecture, the topic is going to be the legal process that must occur before you submit your manuscript to any publisher. But before I get into that, I want to just let everybody know I got up this morning and my YouTube channel has reached well over 210,730 subscribers. And I really do want to thank all of my supporters, my subscribers, my viewers, my members, whether you're a subscriber or not, and you've been following my channel, my sponsors. You know, I really do want to thank everyone for supporting my channel. My channel is a little over 3 years old, and none of this would be possible without all of everyone's ongoing support. So with that being said, I'm gonna give a format in terms of the concepts that I'm gonna talk about in this 1 hour very important lecture, which is gonna be the legal process that must occur before you submit your manuscript to any publisher. I'm gonna take a moment to acknowledge my supporters and my affiliates. I'm going to, one of the concepts I'm gonna talk about is I'm literally gonna read an email from my publisher that I got early on. I'm gonna show my handwritten manuscript. I'm gonna show my Word document manuscript. I'm gonna mention how Page Publishing spent 6 months transforming my manuscript into a published book. I'm gonna also then delve deep and I'm going to present that legal document in terms of that must be in place before, as an author, that must be in place before you submit your manuscript to any publisher. And I'm going to bring this lecture to closure in terms of setting the stage for the next lecture that's going to be a caveat to this. So that next lecture, my live stream lecture, will be, mark your calendar, March the 19th, 2024 at 11 o'clock. And the focus of that is I'm going to talk about 13 steps that happens, 13 steps that happens once that publisher accepts your manuscript. And I'm here to tell you, and transform that manuscript into a finished book. So I'm going to get ready to get down to business. I want to take a moment to acknowledge and give thanks to the following individuals who have supported my channel in various of ways, financial support, such as super chats, super stickers on an ongoing basis. You know, A Resilient Dad, Pieces of April, Big Rooster Show, Unbiased LLC, Chocolate Drop, and Georgia Girl have been some subscribers to my channel who also have supported my channel in various ways financially through the super chats and super stickers. I want to acknowledge you for that. I want to thank you for that, and I'm here to tell you. I also want to put acknowledgement to my members. You know, I have 6 members, and I do not want any more members. Amassing members is not the direction I'm taking my channel, you know, but the 6 members I do have, they join my membership on their own accord. You know, they get the standard membership perks, and in addition, I do special recognitions to my members as a way to support them. I want to thank Linda Brown, who is a personal friend of mine, who's been knowing me for over 30 years. Linda is not a content creator. She has joined my membership. She supports not just my channel, my brand, and everything about in terms of what I do. I want to thank Sue Todd, who is another member. She is not a content creator. I've been knowing Sue personally for well over 15 years. These 2 first individuals know Marie Holiday off camera, and I'm here to tell you. And Sue also is a member to my channel. Georgia Girl is another member to my channel. Pandy Hair Candy and more. Be Amazing Sylvia and Watch Us Decorate are also members to my YouTube channel. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank all of my members to my YouTube channel. And I would tell any content creator, you know, don't just focus on getting members to join your channel who are content creators. There's value in there's a lot of value in getting members who are not content creators. So again, I want to thank my 6 members who have joined my membership. I don't even have on my business plan in terms of any kind of goal in any shape, form, or fashion to market my membership piece. I don't want any more members. That is not the direction I'm taking my channel. But if a person chooses on their own accord to join my membership based off my content and the information that they can gain of value, I appreciate that if you do. But again, here at Marie Holiday, I have no desire to attain any more members. So with that being said, let's get down to business. One of the things Page Publishing is a world-renowned publishing company. One of the things that they did is, prior to submitting that manuscript, they sent me a lot of powerful information in terms of what to expect. They ain't got no manuscript for me. I reached out to them, made a phone call. I did my research. I did my due diligence. I researched various publishing companies, but I was guided by the Spirit to select Page Publishing Company. So one of the things that they talked about is what to expect is Page Publishing on the front end. They literally sent me this letter. Page Publishing protects your work with a confidentiality agreement. There's the legal piece, and I'm going to delve deep about that confidentiality agreement prior to your manuscript submission. That piece got me sold right there. Next, your manuscript is reviewed to ensure that it fits the criteria of work we are willing to support and publish. Just because you submit your manuscript, that don't mean that a publishing company is going to accept your manuscript. That's why they got to have that confidentiality agreement in place, because they got a brand to protect. Make no mistake about that. They spent, once I had that agreement in place, 6 months examining my manuscript. 2 weeks, 2 weeks examining my manuscript before I got the verdict. But they're letting you know on the front end, they're using that confidentiality agreement language on the front end, and I'm going to delve deep about that. So, key thing, your manuscript is reviewed to ensure that it fits the criteria of work we are willing to support and publish. Should we accept your submission, Page Publishing will begin the many steps, those 13 steps. That is a whole nother lecture. Page Publishing will begin the many steps listed below in order to publish your book and make it available for consumer purchase. And so now, like I said, this manuscript, one of the things I did with my powerful manuscript, it took me 1.5 years to write my manuscript. And I knew because I wasn't going to send, even they got that, I'm not sending you my original. So when I got done writing my manuscript, I turned right around and I typed my manuscript in a Word document. Still, ain't nobody seen it. Ain't no publishing company laid eyes. When I look at this manuscript, the handwritten, my book hit all major publications well over 2 years ago, all in major bookstore. I'm looking at my writing. I'm looking at all this. I never wrote a book. Never wrote a book. Had no guided by the Spirit. I get chills when I'm reading this stuff. This handwritten. I'm looking at, somewhere I wrote mortgage, utilities, because the concept of my book, my testimony is my financial destruction. So when I sometimes review my own manuscript, and I can say nothing but God, by the grace of God, I was able to exit up out of this workforce early with multiple streams of income, retirement checks. I literally get chills when I read this manuscript. Ain't nobody seen it yet. All I knew was I had to write. Because at the time that I wrote my original manuscript, I was still in the workforce, drowning in steel debt, working for state government, had a part-time job on the weekend. But by the grace of God, you know, that part-time job I had on the weekend, I was just a fire watch checking doors every hour in nothing but in an empty building, and I utilized that time to write my manuscript. All of these notes, I'm getting chills. And so I knew the Spirit told me that once you get done writing that manuscript, take that same manuscript and put it in a Word document. That's all I knew to do. Because I knew that God was going to lead me to a reputable, world-renowned publishing company to transform my manuscript into a finished book, Awake Financial Freedom. One way you can determine if an author has gone through a publisher, turn it over, and you're going to see the barcode. And you're going to see the logo of the publishing company. That barcode is how Page Publishing Company tracking my sales. So this is validation that this book has gone through some stuff. It took 6 months for Page Publishing Company to transform my manuscript into a finished book. It took me 1.5 years to write my manuscript. So you're talking about 2 years of blood, sweat, and tears behind the scene before my book hit all major bookstores worldwide. And I'm here to tell you. So then, as we talk about this, one of the things that my publishing company did at the end of the 6 months, finally, they literally emailed me and said, congratulations, it has been a pleasure working with you on this project. It was a project in collaboration with Marie Holiday and Page Publishing, a 2-year project, not counting the 2 weeks they had to examine and dissect my manuscript. I could never forget it because I was on pins and needles for 2 weeks. The publishing company called me with the verdict on whether or not we are going to accept or reject your manuscript. And they literally told me, before we can accept your work, we need for you to go in and make one adjustment. Because I had already had it on Word document, that confidentiality agreement that I'm going to talk about before I submitted my manuscript to that publisher. I had to go in and make them changes. Because I was thinking, I already spent 1.5 years writing this manuscript. So whatever you need me to do, Page Publishing Company, I'm going to do it. So at the end of the finished work, it states, now the publication process for your title has been finalized. My role, because they give you a publication coordinator, has been completed. And then that's when the rest is history. I'm here to tell you. I'm telling you, people, there's power when you are backed up as an author by a world-renowned publishing company. And I'm going to talk about some of the perks of that as I move through this lecture. So now, the confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement. I'm going to read this literally. I get chills down my spine. This is the document that Page Publishing Company sent me before I submitted my manuscript. Confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement. This agreement is entered into between Page Publishing, hereafter referred to as publisher, and the author, Marie Holiday. They ain't got nothing yet. They don't have the Word document manuscript. You sure ain't getting the handwritten. You ain't got nothing until I get this to protect my work. So now as I read through this legal document, that is a legal document. My manuscript is a legal document. This protects my work. I ain't talking about copyright laws. This legal document is not interchangeable with copyright laws when your book is published. Because my book is published, this is protected by copyright laws. I'm talking about the legal piece on the front end to protect your manuscript. There you go. So now, this agreement is entered into between Page Publishing, whereas the author has developed, there you go, I have developed certain valuable written work, storylines, concepts, ideas, or design. which author deems confidential. You better believe this is confidential. You better believe my manuscript is confidential. I'm here to tell you. And they are laying this thing out from a legal standpoint, which the author deems confidential, hereafter referred to as the information. And whereas the publisher is in the business of disseminating and publish such works and wishes to review the information. We ain't talking about publishing. I just want this legal document in place so you can review my manuscript, but my manuscript is protected. So now, whereas author wish to disclose this information to the publisher for review, thereby under the terms defined below, and now therefore in consideration of the foregoing promises and the mutual covenants hereafter set forth in other valuable considerations, the parties hereto agree as follows. Now, the parties, we agree. These outlines stipulated, laid out. This is this legal piece. I'm telling you, people, you got to be on top of your game. You got to be on top of your game, because you ain't gonna get all this when you self-publish. I pray to God you got something to protect the manuscript before you put your self-published book out there for the whole world to see. Anybody can claim it. So now, therefore, in consideration of the foregoing promises and the mutual covenants hereafter set forth in other valuable considerations, the parties hereto agree as follows. Disclosure. The author shall disclose to publisher the information. The publisher agrees that this disclosure is only for the purpose of the publisher evaluation. You ain't publishing my work. I just want you to view it. It's only for the purpose of the publisher evaluation to determine its interests in the commercial exploitation of the information. All rights to the work shall remain forever the author. This forever mine, as stipulated in this legal document. Limitations on use. The publisher agrees not to disclose to any third party use or appropriate the information in any way whatsoever, including but not limited to adaptation or modification. Access. Publisher shall not directly or indirectly provide access to the information to third parties unless such parties to whom such disclosures is made or approved by the author. It ain't approved nothing in advance and are made subject to this agreement. Confidentiality. They ain't leave nothing out. Page Publishing Company ain't leave nothing out. Confidentiality. The publisher understands and agrees that the unauthorized disclosure of this information by the publisher to others would imperially damage the author, and I will sue you. Information as defined in this agreement shall not include information that was in the publisher possession or known to the publisher prior to gaining knowledge from the author, or is or becomes lawfully available to the general public without the fault of the publisher. This is a powerful document. My manuscript protected. This thing is so powerful, I'm here to tell you, and I will be safe to say, you got folks out there submitting their manuscript, they ain't got nothing like this in place to protect their work. When submitting physical manuscripts, and I already knew to do this. When submitting physical manuscripts, please always to be sure to send photocopies rather than the original. I I knew way back then y'all wasn't getting my original, but it's powerful to see that they got this in this confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement for the author, and it's written in this document. We receive thousands and thousands of submissions each month. Therefore, manuscripts received in physical format, such as type or handwritten, cannot be returned. So you ain't got my original handwritten, they got my type version right here. And then they sign, please retain this document for your records. This non-disclosure agreement is signed by the publisher and presented to the author before you submit your manuscript. This is legal. My work will forever be. This here is more powerful than copyright laws, because a person can have their book published but not necessarily have this confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement in place. This protects my work right here. This here, my manuscript rather, is handwritten or typewritten. This is legal right here. This is a legal document. And now, once my book became published, then my book is now also protected by copyright laws. And then Page Publishing Company track all of my sales. I don't have to worry about restocking books and tracking sales. No, that's what I paid these people for. That's what all I have to worry about is send me my quarterly checks every quarter for the sales of my book. And I want to see the sales rise and rise. That's all I'm concerned about right there. So when you turn a book over, or you can tell if an author has gone through a publisher. And I'm going to tell you something, why this here is so powerful. Because also, one of the perks of being a published author through Page Publishing Company, the latter part of last year, October of 2023, I made the decision to get my published book, already published book, transformed into an audiobook. Page Publishing Company don't specialize in audiobooks, but they have a collaborative agreement with Audiobook Network where they transform published books into audiobooks. I got a discount because I was referred through Audiobook Network to have my published book transformed into an audiobook. But you still, here's my contractual agreement with audiobook. Just because I got all this legal stuff in place, now I've entered to a contractual agreement with Audiobook Network for them to transform my published book into a audiobook. Make no mistake that I still, this where it comes into play. This contract with Audiobook Network to transform my already published book into an audiobook, you better believe I still got my confidentiality agreement to protect my original manuscript from any other publisher. This here, this manuscript with this confidentiality agreement, protects my work. Rather, I want my original work to be transformed into an audiobook, an ebook, soft copy book, hard copy book. The foundation is protected. That is power right there. Because make no mistake, this contract is a separate contract from Page Publishing, but the original work is protected by non-disclosure. And that's what a lot of people don't consider when they're looking at getting their already, if they're going through a publisher, published work transform into a audiobook, because one of the benefits of going through Page Publishing Company, they have a collaborative agreement. They have a business collaborative agreement where we will refer our already published authors to Audiobook Network to get the services of audiobook. So now that's the benefit of going through a publisher, because they also collaborate with other stakeholders to take your already published book to a whole nother level. So now, since I got this contractual agreement with audiobook, all of the sales of my audiobook, I'm getting royalty checks from 2 different publishing companies, Page Publishing Company, and I'm getting a royalty check from Audiobook Network. So now that's 2 streams of income based off the same protected work. That's power right there. That ain't nothing but power. So now I got my royalty checks coming from Audiobook Network based off all of the sales of my audiobook. And I have royalty checks coming from Page Publishing Company based off the sale of my soft copy book, ebook version book, audio tune, Google Play. That money comes from Page Publishing. And then any kind of sale in relation to my audiobook, that check comes from a different publishing company, Audiobook Network. But make no mistake, here's the foundation right here. That confidentiality agreement right here, to protect any format, to protect any version. Soft copy, hard copy, audiobook, ebook book version, Apple Pay, Google Play, Kindle, all of it's protected by this powerful legal document right here. All of that protection into play, not to include the protection of copyright laws. So there's so much legality behind one manuscript. This is power right here. And I already got in my living will, if anything happened to me, all of those royalty checks will go to my daughter for the rest of her life. That's how you begin to pass down generational wealth versus generational debt. And you better believe my daughter has knowledge of where this original manuscript is. With this legal document, I'm going to retain for my records. So she can know ain't nobody claiming your mother's work in any shape, form, or fashion when it comes to awake financial freedom. I'm telling you people, this thing here is real. And somewhere in the near future, as I continue to get the return on my investments from both publishing company, one of the other services that Audiobook Network provides through authors who have been referred to them through Page Publishing Company for their services, I get that discount. I mean, the opportunity is endless. Another thing that they're looking at when I get ready for this is that what Audiobook Network do is they will also transform your already published book into a audiobook. My audiobook became available October of 2023. Check out that audiobook. My narrator, my selected narrator, Patricia Burgos, spent a tremendous amount of time in the studio narrating my book. And one of the things the Audiobook Network did is, as they did audition for various different narrators, they sent me, they had to read, each narrator had to read like so many pages from my published book in the studio, and they sent me the top 3 narrators as they was reading certain chapters of my book. And Patricia Burgos' third voice, I was so long. She was the third voice I listened to. Her tone, her pitch captured what I wanted to capture in my, this is a spiritual book. Her pitch and tone capture what I wanted to capture in Awake Financial Freedom, Powerful Testimony. If you have not read this book, rather you got the ebook version or soft copy version, I use my same book as a powerful resource to sustain my financial freedom. I have been debt free since 2012, and trust me, if it wouldn't have been for using my very same book as a powerful resource, there's no way I could have been financially free and debt free from 2012 all the way to 2024. But Patricia Burgos did a phenomenal job. I want to give all praise and glory to Patricia Burgos. And when you go to purchase my audiobook, her name is there too. So that means she's getting remuneration behind her work. So she did a phenomenal job in transforming my already published book into an audiobook. She spent a tremendous amount of time in the studio the 3 different voices they sent me. I listened to all 3. Hers was the last one, and my spirit just was moved to select her. And when I select her to narrate my audiobook, I notified my coordinator who coordinated everything and said, I want her to narrate my book. And she did a phenomenal job. So again, one of the opportunities I'm going to look at as time go on with audiobook, because I'm going to get a huge discount, is they are also in the process of transforming my already published work into a screenplay. So now we're getting layers of this. They've already sent me information on the screenplay process. And again, because I got this non-disclosure agreement to protect my work, so even when my published work becomes available in screenplay, thanks to our strategic partnership with McDaniel Entertainment, their talented writers will work directly with you to achieve a short or feature film screenplay adaptation of your book. We are proud to offer our authors the following options. So now, remember, the original manuscript is protected already. So now you're talking about soft copy version, ebook version, audio version. Now with the collaboration of Audiobook Network, that now it's going to push this protected work to a screenplay creation, and it goes on and on and on. But none of that have been possible from a legal standpoint if I would not have had this powerful confidentiality non-disclosure agreement in place to make these things happen. And we're still just talking about the same original work. There was no idea when I was writing this manuscript, no idea in the world when I was writing this manuscript, because I was still in the workforce, drowning in a sea of debt. Not a penny to my name, drowning in a sea of debt, working a full-time job, part-time job, almost 3 jobs, but I made time because I knew I had to do something differently. So that one particular part-time job I had, where I had all this dead time, I literally wrote my manuscript on a job, because I was the only one in the building on the weekend. When nobody there to bother me, all I had to do was get up every hour and do my rounds. And in the meantime, I was writing my manuscript. No one could have ever told me that my published, protected manuscript and published work could have gone through a world-renowned publishing company, Page Publishing. No one could have ever told me that that published work would have been accepted and now available in audiobook by Audiobook Network. And no one could have ever told me that my published work now is being in the making behind the scenes to be converted into a screenplay. You know, that's some months out in the future, but because it took 2 years for my manuscript to be transformed into a published work. And I tell anybody, ain't nothing in this world of true value. It's gonna come quick and fast. It's gonna take consistent effort, dedication, money, time, sacrifice, and guided by the Spirit to make your dreams a reality. And I'm here to tell you, this thing ain't coming quick. You're talking about 2 years behind the scene with Page Publishing. You're talking about another 6 months behind the scene to transform my published book into an audiobook. So you're talking about 2.5 years behind the scene. And so no telling how long it's going to take to convert it into a screenplay. But I got the mindset and I understand ain't nothing of value in this world coming quick and easy and fast. That's the administrative piece, that's the legal piece. You got to do the footwork, you know, because ain't nothing coming quick and easy and fast. And if it comes too cheap, you better run from it. If it comes too cheap, because trust me, I spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to make this happen. because Page Publishing Company had to be paid. Audiobook Network had to be paid. The publishing company that's gonna do my screenplay got to be paid. But trust me, I'm getting, as time go on, I'm gonna get the return on my investments, because I know that ain't nothing in this world of true value is gonna come a quick, fast, cheap. Because if it comes too quick, fast, and cheap, you're behind, better run from it. And I'm here to tell you, because it's about building that generational wealth. And I'm here to tell you, it's about reinvesting all of the money I get from my publishing companies. I'm in the position where I turn around and reinvest that money to build my financial portfolio. No one could have ever told me I could have been in the position to do that in any shape, form, or fashion. You got to put in the blood, the sweat, the tears, the sacrifice. I developed a strategic plan on paper when I first started writing my manuscript. I spent a year and a half writing every Saturday for 2 hours, writing my manuscript for a year and a half. And I knew when when that manuscript was done, the Spirit told me, this is done. I could not have thought of another word. This is the finished product. Prepare to get this manuscript in Word document. And towards the end, I was researching various publishing companies, and the Spirit guided me towards Page Publishing Company, and the rest is history. And I'm here to tell you, this is the legal process. This is the legal process that must occur, that must be in place before you submit your manuscript to any publishing company. This confidentiality and non-disclosure agreement signed by the publisher. If this is not in place, if this document is not in place, your work is not protected. Your work is not protected if this non-disclosure confidentiality agreement submitted to you by the publisher before you submit your manuscript to the publisher. So when I got my published work transformed into an audiobook, the original work is protected. As they are getting ready to take this work to the level of screenplay, my manuscript is protected. I'm protected. To include protected by copyright laws, but this document here is more powerful than copyright laws, because you're talking about my original work that I spent a year and a half on a part-time job writing my doggone manuscript. And I'm gonna see what I wrote on the first page. Way back then, first page of my manuscript, not knowing anything about nothing. The first document on my original manuscript, I came up with a chapter. There we go. A chapter. A book gotta have a chapter. Outline. Chapter 1, my rock bottom. Chapter 2, awake. Chapter 3, my second order of business. This stuff was coming. I was just guided by it. It was just flowing. Chapter 4, the matter of my 340 credit score. You got to read these chapters. Chapter 5, how I raised my credit score from a 640 to way back then. This June of 2020, I'm writing this. June of 2020, I'm writing this manuscript on a piece of paper, handwritten. Not knowing that now I got these people looking at my published work to convert into a screenplay. Chapter 6, how I remain credit card free. And I am credit card free still today. And I wrote this way back in 2020. This original manuscript. Chapter 7, active versus passive income. There we go. Active versus passive income. Now, and I didn't write this in my book, but because your thinking evolve over time. But my take on active versus passive income is, in reality, and this is Marie Holiday speaking, ain't nothing passive. Because before income can become passive, you put some work into it to get it to, just like my money I make from my my publishing company, them checks hit me every quarter, I can now consider that passive income, but at a certain point, I had to put the work in order for it to become passive. I had to write my manuscript. That is work. I had to block out time to write my manuscript. That is work. I had to spend thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to pay those publisher companies before I can get the return on my investment, before that income can become passive. So on the front end, it ain't nothing passive until you do your due diligence and get it to the point where you can get the return on your investments. Now your income is passive. Just like I'm getting my quarterly checks every single quarter from my publishing company. Now that's passive. But at a certain point, I had to do this. This was like a job. So I'm looking at what I wrote back in 2020, chapter 8. Which I'm no longer doing anymore because you evolve as time. But chapter 8, I talk about my selling success, because during that time I was doing some selling on Facebook Marketplace where I don't got rid of all that, because that ain't even passive. When you're selling on Facebook Marketplace, you got to put some work in. Chapter 9, selling tips part 2. Chapter 10, the pros and cons of the gig economy. I had a powerful mindset back then because I've done some video lectures on the pros and cons of the gig economy, because it ain't all what it cut out to be. And I talk more in detail in that chapter about the pros and cons of the gig economy. And then in chapter 11, in Awake Financial Freedom, I talk about maintaining a healthy balance. And that's the Spirit guided me to start at chapter 11 in my original manuscript. And that's just the outline. I knew I needed chapters in my book. And then if I'm looking at this next page of my manuscript, I'm telling you, this thing is protected. I got stuff I'm writing all on the side and everything. And let's give an idea on where my mindset was. Here's my chapter 1 right here. Chapter 1, handwritten. I'm just writing, highlighting, notes on the side, marking stuff out. Just writing and marking. Had no idea. My first time, never in my life, wrote a book. I had no idea that this work would be accepted by a world-renowned publishing company. Backed up by a world-renowned, no idea at all. I'm marking stuff out. For wherever my mind was, I wrote something down and put a giant X. Or I'm going way back. I just X'd out. I wrote this and put a big X on it, but I still kept it. This like rough draft to the heart. Rough draft. I'm here to tell you. And so I'm just writing this stuff down. I'm marking this stuff out. I'm working on chapter 1. Working on chapter 1, and then somewhere I wrote on this page here, rock bottom, 5 years of living hell. I highlighted that way back then when I was writing my draft. I'm just writing. The Spirit just said, just write this stuff down. Just write it down. At that time, I didn't even know who Page Publishing Company was. No clue who they were. Way back then, I'm even writing down in terms of the breakdown analysis of how my money was looking horrible. Didn't have a penny in my name. Drowning in the sea. I'm writing this, highlighting. Here I wrote overdraft from SunTrust of $500 every 2 weeks. I was in overdraft of $500. SunTrust now been bought out by First Horizon, but I literally put overdraft from SunTrust $500 every 2 weeks. I was messed up beyond messed up. For real. I get chills when I go back and read my rough draft of chapter 1 of Awake Financial Freedom. The publishing ain't seen none of this. Ain't nobody eyes seen this but mine. I literally put, here we go. My. Payday advance of $1,000 every 2 weeks. I was borrowing, and And I opened up a second checking account with Wells Fargo in order to attain additional overdraft fees. Isn't that messed up? That's the thought, the mindset of digging that hole. It took by spiritual awakening. And my book is spiritual. My book, Awake Financial Freedom. You gotta read this. My recommendation: read the soft copy. Well, actually, they all are good. Ebook version, soft copy, audio book. The audio book, cause it gives me chills to listen to it. The audio book, you gotta listen to the audio book, then read the real book, and then do a comparison, and you will see what I'm talking about in terms of how Patricia Burgos, my selected narrator, her voice tone and pitch was incongruent with the spirituality component of this book. I don't know how she did it, but I was sold on her. So this was madness. That's all I can tell you. Chapter 1, I mean, when I look at this, when I'm looking at this here, page 6 of chapter 1, I'm just writing, and then I brought it to closure. You gotta summarize every chapter. I finally brought chapter 1 to closure. I literally put in summary, chapter 1. This is powerful stuff. And I'm telling you, I was talking to a person a couple of weeks ago who literally, unfortunately, had their manuscript stolen, and it was presented to a publishing company and got published. But however, the person who wrote the manuscript got no credit. They didn't get no royalty checks because they did not have this in place. And I mean, it goes on more than you think. How you read about, do some research on this in terms of authors who have gotten their original work stolen, and it was then published by someone else, and now they're getting the royalty checks, the credibility, and then you got books that are transformed, published work into a screenplay. So now you're talking about big money now, and their work was stolen. So I say that to say, this legal process that must be in place, this is real. This protects your work. We ain't talking about copyright laws. That's another layer of protection. I'm talking about this this confidentiality, non-disclosure agreement. In addition, the contractual agreement is a separate document from this here. So I'm gonna do another lecture on terms of how my contract reads from Page Publishing Company in terms of what they're going to do and what they do, and all of the stipulations of that contract. Because once they accepted my manuscript, this was in place first, then they accepted my manuscript, and I said, okay, I want to hire you as my publisher. Then that's when they slapped that contract agreement on me, and that's another powerful piece right there. So again, I want to thank all of my supporters, my subscribers, my viewers. This is powerful information. This is legal. I have had people who have literally paid me consultation fee for me to really sit down and delve deep in the particulars of all of the legalities in terms of publishing a book. And I'm telling you, you're getting, anybody who's listening in, you're getting powerful legal information from someone who has gone through the doors, and I got the documentation to back it up, free, where you have to pay anywhere else to go sit down in front of someone who has got the same information you're getting free. You will have to pay at least a $400 consult fee to get this information. I'm here to tell you. So again, I want to thank all of my supporters, my subscribers, my viewers, my members for supporting my channel. My channel now is on the trajectory path to do some phenomenal things for 2024. I'm taking my channel in a whole nother direction. I'm in a position where I'm really just focusing on content, because my primary focus is my promoting my company, my coaching services, my book, my brand. I'm using this platform as a tool to market and steer business towards my primary business, Paris and Associates, coaching to market my book, my services, and my brand. And that's a deliberate strategic move I did early on the front end when I created my YouTube channel. So again, mark your calendar for next Saturday. I'm gonna do another powerful live stream lecture, and the focus of that lecture is gonna be what are the 13 steps. What are the 13 steps in order for page publishing or any publisher? But I'm gonna say page publishing because I know they did those 13 steps. What are the 13 steps in order for page publishing to transform the accepted manuscript? Because the manuscript has been accepted now. My manuscript has been accepted. They examined my manuscript for 2 weeks and they gave me the verdict. I'll never forget when I got that verdict. I was at the gas station. I had to pull over, and they was the publishing company, and they gave me the verdict that before they could accept my manuscript, they needed me to make one adjustment. And I'm like, man, I've already been writing this manuscript for a year and a half, but whatever adjustment you need me to make page publishing, I would do it. And that's when I went in under my Word document, because I had my manuscript by that time in Word document. I made that one adjustment that the publishing company wanted me to make, and I resubmitted. I had to resubmit my manuscript, and the rest is history. When I made that one adjustment, they accepted my manuscript and moved that manuscript into publication. That book was in publication for 6 months with the experts. So next lecture, I'm gonna do what are the 13 steps in order for the publisher to transform the accepted manuscript into a published book. There are 13 steps. It ain't over with yet. The book ain't been published yet. The 13 steps in order for the publisher to transform the accepted manuscript into a published book and make it available for consumers, to make it available for the world. So in order to find out what those 13 steps are, mark your calendar for next Saturday, because I'm going to dive deep and I'm going to present those 13 steps, and I'm also got to talk about that contractual agreement between me and Page Publishing Company because they accepted my manuscript. So now there's another legal document in place that had to be in place in terms of the contractual agreement for them now to move forward with publication. So there are 13 legal steps, or not legal steps, are important steps. Some are legal, and one of them, the legal piece, is that contract, which is legal, and those other 12 steps are critical in terms of what that publisher got to do to transform your manuscript. There we go. To transform that manuscript into a published book. I'm telling you, people, this is a lot. People don't realize what goes on behind the scene with the author and the publisher and the legal piece before that book hits any bookstore. Before that book hits any bookstore, if you're doing it the correct way, there is a lot behind the scene. So it's by the time, as an author, by the time Marie Holiday start getting the return on my investments on my book, Awake Financial Freedom, it was time. I spent a lot, blood, sweat, tears, time, sacrifice, and thousands of dollars before I began to be in the green on the return on my investments. But again, ain't nothing in this world of true value. You're going to have to pay. You're going to have to put forth time, sacrifice, effort, and pay. One of the things I can say, with all of that truckload of money I paid both publishing companies, it was all a 100% business write-off. And it still, just because your book hit all major bookstores, there's a marketing piece. You ain't gonna be in the green overnight. You're gonna be in the red for a minute before you begin to get in the green. And I'm here to tell you, and people need to understand that, because it ties into, again, ain't nothing in this world of true value such as increasing your multiple streams of income will not come overnight, will not come quick. You got to sacrifice. And you got to be willing to spend some money and then turn it around and write it off as a business expense. And I'm here to tell you. So ladies and gentlemen, the market calendar for next Saturday. Again, I'm going to be ready to get down to business. You know, the Spirit is guiding me for everything that I've gone through to bring this book to life in any format. I'm going to do a series of various different lectures to break this thing down, the 13 steps, the contract, other things, the marketing piece. And just because my book is published, Audiobook Network and Page Publishing Company, hands still on it. Because they're tracking my sales through the barcode. Hands still on it. Page Publishing Company, Audiobook Network, they are sending me my royalty checks. They're tracking my sales. You know, anything else that I may want in terms of additional marketing, I reach out to my publishing company. You know, rather I want business cards with my book, marketing posters. I go through the publishing company. They have a whole marketing department. Whatever product you need for your book to market your book, go through your publishing company. You're getting those discounts. So just because my book is published, the publishing company, Page Publishing Company, and Audiobook Network, hands still all over it. And then they got the logo on it. That's that credibility right there. If I can tell you the amount of actual phone calls, emails, unsolicited phone calls and emails I get from various of organizations wanting to collaborate and align themselves with me. I don't even return a phone call because I'm already backed up by the top, by the best. I don't need no third party. If I can just tell you the amount of phone calls that people are seeking me out about this published work because they see this logo from both publishing companies, I do not respond because I'm already represented. My work is already represented by 2 top-notch publishing companies. I don't need nobody else hands on it, and I'm here to tell you. So ladies and gentlemen, market calendar, that's all I have. Simplify, Simple Fidelis. Again, I want to thank all of my supporters from chiming in. I noticed I got folks chiming in. Market calendar for next Saturday. I want to thank all of my supporters and viewers and subscribers for supporting my channel. You know, the trajectory path on where I'm taking this channel is going to be skyless, and I'm here to tell you. So that's all I have. Simplify, Simple Fidelis, and I'm going to leave you in the care of your own conscience. Have a great day.